Welcome to Edinburgh.
We're in Scotland.
What are we gonna go see? A castle.
We're going to go inside it.
Yesterday we said goodbye to Disneyland Paris and landed in Edinburgh, Scotland. We woke up in a new country, a new city, and for the first time on this trip, we're stepping into real medieval castles. Not the fairy tale kind, the ones built for battle, the kind that shaped history, and we're doing it with two little girls in my second trimester, and we're walking everywhere because that's how we chose to experience Europe this month. Edinburgh was always one of those stops I was most curious about, and what I didn't expect was how much it would set the tone for the rest of our UK adventure.
Good morning from Scotland.
We stayed at the Holiday Inn in Edinburgh's city centre using IHG points, and honestly, it was exactly what we needed. If you're traveling Europe with kids, room size really matters more than aesthetics. Many European hotel rooms are significantly smaller than the ones we are used to in the States, and finding something that comfortably fits our family of four, especially while pregnant, takes some strategy. This one worked well for us because of the location. We were within walking distance to almost everything we wanted to see, which meant fewer transportation logistics and more flexibility. Breakfast was included, which is always a win with kids. It's truly one of the most important things to me as a mom when I travel. It was fairly typical UK breakfast: eggs, sausage, toast, yogurt, cereal, baked beans. Nothing over the top, but it was filling and easy before a big walking day. And it's important to note, Edinburgh's not flat. We're from Florida. So I was super excited about this, but the kids had to get used to it a bit. From our hotel, we walked toward Edinburgh Castle, passing the Scott Monument and weaving our way through the city streets as they slowly came to life. If you would like to know our exact walking path so that you can hit all the main photo spots, best attractions, must-see sites, I have it linked down in the description box below. You can get it from our free resource library to save you a bit of time planning.
I see the castle. I think I see the castle.
To show them it.
Ready? No, show you. I want to see you seeing the castle. Look at it. It's over there.
We'll show them it. I see another castle. I think I see another castle.
Yeah, you
But that one's the closest, so we must be going over there.
The Scots Monument in Edinburgh is about 200 feet tall. It's a Victorian Gothic spire dedicated to the author Sir Walter Scott. It's the world's largest monument to a writer that I know of, and it actually has sculptures of characters from his novel. There are 68. How many do you think you can count while you're there? You can actually go into this monument. It is 287-step climb to the very top where you get great views of the city. Would you want to climb it? We opted not to with kids because we had a long day ahead. The walk itself is so beautiful. It's a bit uphill, parts of it a little bit steeper than others. And while walking is one of our favorite ways to experience a city, I'll say this honestly, Edinburgh with kids is doable, but you do need some realistic expectations, especially with the little legs. Our youngest was still feeling a bit of jet lag.
Okay, so we are in Scotland this morning. We are walking to Edinburgh Castle.
Oh, I'm not supposed to talk anymore. I'm not supposed to talk anymore.
We definitely intentionally tried starting super early in order to adjust to the UK time and to experience the top attractions that we'd be going to that day with less crowds, but it also gave us some flexibility for how long it took us to walk there. We took a few breaks and we did bring our stroller that we can use as a backpack or fit in the overhead compartment of a plane, which was super helpful in moments like these. It was definitely a trek for little legs, but arriving at the top was totally worth it, and they felt so proud of themselves.
Welcome to Edinburgh Castle. We are going to explore here in Scotland. I'm really excited. This is the first castle on one of our many adventures into castles and palaces and etc. at the multi-country 26-day trip that my family of four is adventuring throughout Europe. So be sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any other adventures, but let's go explore the castle.
I'm about to go inside the castle.
Ooh.
Edinburgh Castle sits on top of Castle Rock, which is actually an extinct volcano. It dominates the skyline and it has been a royal residence, military fortress, and a symbol of Scotland for centuries. If you're visiting, I'd highly recommend starting your day here, especially in peak season. Crowds build quickly, and this was our #1 priority. Inside, we use the audio guides, and yes, there are child-friendly versions available, which I would absolutely recommend if you're visiting with kids. Giving our girls their own headsets was a game changer. They felt like they were in control, they searched for the details, and they moved from room to room with purpose. Instead of being dragged through history, they felt like they were participating in it. Our oldest was especially excited when she got to hold an an arrow, and she even got to hold a sword. This made her whole trip. Honestly, she felt so cool, and she felt like history was real all around her. It made her super excited for the rest of the adventure. Now, for us adults, the views from the castle were stunning. You can see across the entire city, on a clear day out to sea, and over all the rolling hills. We loved getting to hear all the history, and it was such a perfect introduction to the UK portion of our trip. In the Castle Cafe, we had some pizza, because again, when traveling with kids, sometimes familiar food keeps momentum going, and we don't feel the need to be foodies in this season as much as we would want to travel the world and experience different foods and from different cultures. That wasn't our main priority for this trip. We did some, but not nearly as much as I would want if it was just us. If you're planning your own visit, the biggest tip I can give you is to book in advance, especially in peak season, because Edinburgh tickets can sell out, and once they're on online, that's it for the day. We booked about a month ahead so that we could lock in the timed entry that worked best with our day, and for us, the timed entry piece really mattered because it kept the crowds from being unmanageable and overwhelming, and it gave us the opportunity to get our number one thing done that day before getting to the rest of the itinerary. Speaking of, if you want the printable of our itinerary, I linked it down in the description. Also, quick note for families, kids under 7 are free, but they still need to be added to your booking so that the ticket can be tied to your time slot. When you book, you'll see a few different options depending on how you like to travel. Most straightforward is the standard timed entry ticket, but they also offer a flexi ticket if you want a little bit more freedom. That one lets you visit within a window of a couple of days without pre-booking a specific time slot. You can also book a guided tour, which layers in storytelling and history on top of what you are already going to experience. And of course, if you want to make the day a little more special, they even have afternoon tea. If you want a full video about step-by-step what you can't miss while you're here, all the different rooms and tours that you can go on while inside the castle, let me know down in the comments. But make sure you don't miss the 1 o'clock gun, the Half Moon Battery, the Great Hall, the Royal Palace, Prison of War, and more. Now you'll notice the crown jewels are a big deal here too. We personally skipped that part, partly because we didn't want to commit to a long line, and also because we knew we'd be seeing the crown jewels at the Tower of London later in the trip. Be sure you're subscribed. After the castle, we made our way down to Victoria Street, which is often said to have inspired Diagon Alley. As huge Harry Potter fans, which we will come to find out as we adventure across the UK and find all the fun spots, it's colorful and curved and full of independent shops and definitely a little touristy, but it's still super charming. We stopped at the Elephant House, which was known as one of the birthplaces of Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling wrote part of it there. It's currently closed, but standing outside still felt meaningful. We grabbed some food from Oink. It was quick, easy, kid-friendly, and it kept everyone happy. Pro tip though, always carry backup snacks when traveling internationally with kids. Even adventurous eaters have moments where they're just wanting something familiar. We also make a point to try to grab a few snacks that take a little while to eat, like lollipops, especially when we're about to do something that isn't super exciting for the kids, aka something pretty historical, so that they can enjoy that while we do some shopping or we are doing a tour. Of course, keeping it in balance. We're not just feeding them lollipops all day long, but every once in a while, it's a fun treat. Then we headed over to the Royal Mile, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a historic stretch connecting Edinburgh Castle to Holyrood Palace. It's busy and full of street performers. There's bagpipes echoing through the stone buildings. There's souvenir shops, lots of narrow alleyways that lead to quiet courtyards. We saw someone with an owl and some beautiful old buildings, but at that point our kids were pretty tired of the historical aspect, and so we moved on to our next big challenge, which was climbing Calton Hill. And yes, we climbed it with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and a baby on the way.
Still a little jet lagged, pushing a stroller, pregnant, little kids, little legs, but not a bad little hike up the hill. We did bring the stroller the rest of the day. I'm coming! We did bring the stroller for the rest of the day, so we couldn't leave it behind. So we had to take the accessible kind of road up, and it's worked out okay.
It's not that strenuous, totally doable. And the kids actually really loved it because they got to stretch their ways in a different way than what they had done previously when we were walking on crowded streets. The National Monument of Scotland sits on the top, and it's inspired by the Parthenon in Athens. It was meant to commemorate Scottish soldiers who had died in the Napoleonic Wars, though it was never fully completed. The climb wasn't necessarily easy. There were some grumbling here and there, but when we reached the top, the girls were so proud. And these are the kind of moments that I love. I love when we persevere through something together. We get to to see amazing things, learn about great cultures, and experience this amazing world. It's history and it's nature. But it's not just about that for us. It's not just the sightseeing. We're building resilience, we're sharing challenges together, and we're building confidence. And of course, we're building memories together. The views over Edinburgh were breathtaking. It would have been stunning at sunset, which would have been cool if it was just the two of us, but even in the afternoon light, it was still beautiful. We definitely didn't see everything that we could have. We could have done so much more if we didn't have the kids, but we do choose to travel with them, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to travel at all. And honestly, it is so much more fun when we do it all together. So this could be a full day, no matter if you're traveling solo or with only adults, or if you're traveling with kids. Just know, for us, it's not always about efficiency, even though I plan our vacations to the T. It is about shared experiences, culture exposure, and building a family bond around curiosity and adventure. And that trade is worth it every time. The next morning, we woke up knowing we were going to cross another border. Edinburgh had given us castles and history, and now we were heading into London, which would become our base for the England portion of our trip. We had originally planned to visit Dean's Village and a few other stops in the morning, but after several busy days, we chose to let the kids sleep in. And that's another travel lesson that we have learned over the years, that not every plan needs to be executed. Sometimes rest is a better investment. While my husband stayed back with the girls, I took a short walk to capture some final footage and to soak in the quiet Edinburgh morning. Then we packed up and called a rideshare to the airport. We brought the Ride Safer travel vest with us to Europe, which made using rideshares so much easier. We didn't have to lug around big car seats everywhere we went, but we still had the luxury of being able to use a taxi or a rideshare when the situation called for it. And it was great for those moments when we thought we could walk the whole way, but by the end of the day, the little legs just couldn't handle it, so we needed to get an Uber on the way back. In many UK taxi situations, car seats aren't legally required in the same way as they are in the US, or if you were in a more permanent style vehicle, but we still wanted a safe, compact option that would give us some peace of mind and help keep our kiddos safe. These pack flat in carry-ons and fit really easily into our backpacks or at the bottom of the stroller, and they've been crash tested and are safe to use. At the airport, we headed to the lounge, of course. Lounge access has been one of the highest sanity savers on this trip. We love the quiet spaces, the real food that's included, of course. We love the clean bathrooms, that's easy access for our littles, and a lot of them have room for kids to move around, room for them to sit. There's a little table. Some even have kids' rooms. We booked essentially this whole Europe trip using points and miles, and I'll do a full breakdown of that in another video. But if you're curious on how to start using points for international family travel, I have a beginner-friendly guide in our free resource library, and you can always email me for any specific questions. Our flight from Edinburgh to London was short. It was about an hour on British Airways business class. It was a 2-in-2 configuration, super comfortable, and honestly, a fun little treat for the girls. One highlight for me, the scones. Now, flying into Heathrow felt very different from when we flew into Edinburgh. You can check out what that was like in our previous video. It was definitely bigger and busier, and the start of our England chapter of our adventure. Again, we opted for a rideshare to our hotel rather than navigating public transportation with all of our luggage, though so many people do that, and it is a great option, especially if you don't have to worry about little kids and keeping up with them along the way. I would have taken public transit if we didn't have the littles, but sometimes convenience is worth it, especially on a transition day. So we checked into the Crowns Plaza, London King Cross, another IHG property we booked on points, and this would be our home base for several days. From here, we would take day trips to Oxford, Watford, Windsor, and we would explore London itself. We would go to Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, Tower Bridge, the Globe, and eventually we'd head off to Spain, Gibraltar, the French Riviera, Monaco, and adventure literally awaited us. But first, we were off to Oxford. Now, if you're currently planning your UK itinerary, especially with kids, I have put together a few in our free resource library. You can download them down in the description box below. If you're enjoying following along on this Europe season, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on Oxford Next, where we step into the real inspiration for Hogwarts. And then the Warner Brothers studio tour, which, spoiler, was one of our favorite days of our entire month in Europe. I'd love to know in the comments, would you rather explore medieval castles in Scotland or the literary cities in England? We are just getting started. And remember, adventure is more than possible, even with little kids. And we're here to show you how to travel more together. See you soon, pal!